All right, we said we were going to talk about some classic wrestling. Can we do that now, Uncle Brian?
Well, anything you want to do. Don't call me that. You've ruined the word uncle for a lot of people.
Oh, come on now. Hey, you ought to seen my uncle. He could ruin the word uncle. He couldn't even spell it.
All
But
right. Well,
we,
classic wrestling talk starts with bad humor.
yes, well, and so there's no place to go but up. In the past, we have talked to our friend Tony over at Heritage Auctions about the classic wrestling trading card sets that I auctioned off a couple years ago, and that nice championship belt from World Class Wrestling, and well, actually before Big Time Wrestling in Dallas in the 70s. And Tony is a collector as well and loves the wrestling business, the collecting business, and all things to do with heritage auctions. So earlier, at an undisclosed location on a telephone, I conducted an interview with Tony Giese of Heritage Auctions about a big upcoming event that they've got going on with one of the, as I think we termed it in the talk, one of the Mount Rushmore of classic pro wrestlers and an amazing variety of his merchandise. We did record that, didn't we?
Yes.
Can we play that if I just say, can we go to that now? Well, in that case, folks, here's Tony from Heritage Auctions. All righty, I've been waiting for this one for quite a while now. Another chance to talk to our friend from Heritage Auctions, Tony Giese, who is on the phone with me. And Tony, we got a couple of big ones to talk about today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be back here. I'm looking forward to this as well. You do a heck of a podcast, and you've got you have some great listeners. I will say that last time we talked.
Hold on, what are our listeners? Great. You
great listeners, absolutely.
I'm just kidding. You're wrong, Tony, for the great bell. But we talked with you last time, I think, when I had some of those rare, valuable wrestling all-star trading cards that Heritage was nice enough to auction for me, and I still curse Norman Keitzer because he sent me a Hulk Hogan with a big red or pink printing blotch on it, and it didn't get a 9 grade like some of the others did. And you guys, before we even get started talking about the main thing we're going to go over today, you guys just set the world record for a wrestling trading card with the Hulk Hogan card from that Wrestling All-Stars set that I got to ask you, how is somebody willing to pay $130,000 for Hulk Hogan's trading card when in Los Angeles the other week on Raw, he was as popular as pickleball with a paraplegic?
The reason is that's considered his rookie card. It was kind of the first mainstream wrestling card. And there's yellow borders on that card, and there's centering issues, quality issues, and there's, I believe, 18 PSA 9s in existence. So I think wrestling has become much more and more mainstream now. Part of it could be the Netflix might be really getting it to a worldwide audience. And there's not a lot of the high grade ones. I know with your set, you had both of the Andres had a divot like right by the eye.
Yeah.
And that was the first card in the set. So the Andre is the hardest one by far. But Hogan being kind of the Babe Ruth of wrestling, a lot of people, there's a lot more interest in wrestling than there's ever been as far as collectibles.
Is it kind of following the same thing as, because you used to hear about this and still do, but I think it hit maybe other professional sports or maybe classic, muscle cars or whatever first. But as people grow up and make money, they turn around and they spend 100 times as much money on the same shit as they had when they were 7 years old.
That's a great point. And I've fought myself from buying LJN wrestling figures from the 80s. That's what I collected when I was growing up. I didn't have the wrestling cards as much. And I think, people, in their 40s and 50s now watched wrestling, loved it in the 80s is I think where it all started for me at least, and watching, the AWA, WCCW, WWF, of course. And people go back to their youth and they collect what they collected as kids. I know with some of the wrestling figures now, you're getting huge numbers on some of these because they are in the original packaging or on the cards because Topps made cards in I think 85 through 90-ish, and they made O-Pee-Chee were made in Canada, and those are really collectible because they're made in smaller numbers, and there's a lot of issues with condition on a lot of these wrestling cards, and that's what makes them so valuable. And I think also, I mean, people, your Hogans, your Savages, your Andre the Giants, I mean, those are names that are kind of on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, at least, and a lot of people go back to their youth.
Well, and of course, condition in your collection matters in everything. We've talked about it, and so many of these things, like comic books and pop culture collectibles, they were either meant for kids to play with and the dog shit on them, or just stick in your back pocket or whatever. So condition is very important in everything that you're collecting. But the thing now that's different is that when I was a kid, if I wanted, you couldn't get Buddy Rogers's jacket unless you found his fucking house and broke into it, right?
Exactly. Like on some of the gear that they wore in the ring, I mean, they would wear that stuff until there was literally nothing left. They would wear it. They didn't get a new jacket every 2 months. They might wear that same jacket for 2 years until there was literally nothing left or it was in terrible condition. So the ring gear is so collectible because they didn't make extras of it.
Well, now, I can testify that I say, the Midnight Express wore a lot of stuff until it just fell apart, and I did too. Even though I had more different things because I could go into a store and buy a suit, but still, a lot of things went by the wayside just from, my God, there's more holes than there are fabric left. But you personally, because Heritage Auctions wouldn't operate without you, Tony. You have landed one of those Mount Rushmore collections of ring-worn jackets and robes and gear of various sorts from Randy Savage's family, from his personal collection that he has worn throughout his career. And they didn't just toss you some things. This is like a curated deal where they have picked out the highlight of this particular era of his career, that particular era, the NWO, the Mega Powers, the Royal Rumble, Scepter, Slim Jim stuff, WrestleMania outfit, the high points. And this is going to be going up pretty soon to some lucky consumer.
Yeah, so this auction is going to open January 31st, closes February 22nd and 23rd. And the thing about the Macho Man stuff is he had glitter, he had everything built into these. Michael Braun made his outfits, and he also made outfits for Jimi Hendrix and Bob Dylan and a very young Hulk Hogan before he was really into wrestling. And so each one is, he did such a good job, and there's a lot of tassels and there's a lot of interesting colors. A lot of early 90s neon yellow, neon pink. And the thing about it is it's like a cross-section of his career. We start probably in the 86 is the first outfit going all the way through. We've got, where he cut Brutus the Barber Beefcake's hair when he was with Sensational Sherry. We got the Mega Powers' first handshake during one of the Superstar segments. And there's an NWO outfit. And one thing you don't really see a lot of are NWO ring-worn jackets and pants. So it's a great selection of Macho Man, and every piece is signed by him too. And, he passed away in 2011. So these were signed in the early 2000s. So it's cool because we have photos of him wearing from specific matches, specific feuds. And it goes all the way, kind of from the beginning of his WWF until the end of his WCW run. So it's a really nice collection, and it's everything. There's every area is pretty much covered here, which makes it really nice for the fans and for collectors.
Well, now acting like that none of us have ever done this before, because until I started talking to you and your boy Matt over there, say hello to Matt. I had not interacted with Heritage Auctions. So where do they go to find out the website and the way to find out more about this specific auction? Because you guys sell everything you guys sell more than I do, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, we sold the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's slippers for $32 million about
Jesus
3 months ago. Yeah, and
that's a strong ass foot fetish.
Yeah.
Where was that a Saudi Arabian?
I don't know who won it, but it was very feverish bidding, and I think it lasted about 30 minutes. The bidding.
That's probably the longest that guy ever lasted in his life. But where can they go to find the Savage collection and the information on the auction?
It's very easy. It's ha.com. A lot of the material is showing up right now. We're writing, we're editing, so a lot of these pieces are appearing online. ha.com is the website, and basically just go to the search bar, type in Macho Man or Randy Savage. And if you want to type in ring worn, you'll see all the other material that we have as well. So,
I think you shouldn't even ring worn. That's kind of like beat up, it's worn. You got to say gently or lovingly performed in, like the consignment clothing stores do.
There's a nice way of saying things. I just wrote up a jacket recently, and I put, the fans love this wrestler so much that they would be pulling on his jacket a lot of times, and that's where the rip came from.
Yeah.
So, there's nice ways of kind of softening it.
It was the guy in Greenville, South Carolina, tried to stab him. He just cut the jacket.
He just missed.
But and I'm going to drop a little tease here about something to say, but also you've sent me a picture, and I'm not even going to go any further except to say that it is a vintage championship belt, and we are working to find out the provenance of same and everything, because that's a cool thing. You guys, the last time we talked was not my cards; it was the
belt
guys, belt you guys auctioned, which was from Texas, one of the old Nikita Milkovich belts.
Yeah, you were instrumental in that, by the way. I remember taking that belt in, and again, I'm the first person I thought of was you. I'm like, Jim Cornette, I think if there's one person that's going to know, it's Jim Cornette. And you did a wonderful job. You dated that to the late 70s. I think it was before Fritz started World Class.
Yes.
Is when that belt was. And
the American Tag Team Championship.
Yes, it was.
But you sent me a picture of another one. That's even older. So we're looking that one up. But also, you're going to have another family-oriented auction coming up here that's wrestling related. Also, I don't know how many details we're supposed to drop about this. Are we just hinting?
We can talk a little bit about it. We do have the Von Erich collection, and with mainly Kevin's material, but also some of the jackets that we have were worn by Kevin, David, and Mike. We have one. So we've got some autograph photos, some autograph promos. Of course, David being the most valuable because he passed away first. But there's promos, there's Hall of Fame plaques. So a lot of cool Von Erich stuff, and the money is going towards charity. So that we're going to be announcing in a little bit with a little more information on that one. But
can I put in a standing bid on the deep fryer from the Sportatorium, with or without the rat bones at the bottom of the basket?
That is the one thing in life I wish I could have done. I watched it as a kid up in northern Wisconsin. We watched World Class on Saturday night, but I moved here in 2012, and unfortunately the Sportatorium was gone, and I wish I could have seen it in person. Of course, watching the Iron Claw and watching the DVDs on World Class that were done in the early 2000s.
But between the building in person and the crowd and the smell of the concession stand and the crowd and the building, and you were in 2 blocks away from like big city downtown Dallas, Texas, and you could have been in a pole barn in Tyler with 5,000 people in it, and the atmosphere was insane. It was Oh my God. There was a reason why we were always jogging. Whenever I saw another old clip when they were jogging us out the side door from the ring so we'd avoid going uphill and getting stabbed.
So
But
now,
anyway,
did they have air conditioning at the Sportatorium, or was that?
yeah, in Fritz's office. Otherwise, enjoy a nice summer night in Dallas, Texas with a giant tin roof in the middle of 5,000 people.
Oh
I'm
my
surprised
God.
guys didn't wear an oxygen tank to the ring.
I love it.
No, but that led to more, realism and grit when the guy every time you hit a guy, his sweat flew off of him because you'd lose 6 pounds in the course of the match.
I could only imagine how that was because I know how it is living here now, how hot it gets, and I can only imagine wrestling a match in that kind of heat.
The TV lights.
Yes.
And the TV lights.
Sure.
Fuck it. They had a actual griddle underneath the ring, and they turned that on too. So the surface of the ring was over 200 degrees. All right. Anyway, Tony Giese from Heritage Auctions and HA.com. You got to go and right now and see all the details on the Macho Man collection throughout. I would have loved to have gotten his 1979 ICW robe. It looked like somebody had taken 4 yards of that spangly stuff you put under a Christmas tree and just made a robe out of it. But then he got a budget. But the Macho Man collection right now, Von Erichs are coming up. I'm looking at a title belt and all kinds of stuff. And Tony, maybe you can come back at some point and report in on some more details on the Von Erichs.
Absolutely. We're always working on getting cool wrestling items in our auction and working on stuff right now. We are going to the WrestleCon at Indianapolis. So we're going to have these items there, some of the Macho Man stuff, some of the Von Erich stuff, and who knows, maybe some other collectibles, hopefully some cards. So if anybody's going to the Royal Rumble, we'll be down there at the show at the Marriott downtown, and stop on by.
I heard there's going to be a few people in town that day for the Rumble.
I think there might be some. I have a sneaky feeling it'll be packed.
And you'll have one of the best displays this side of WrestleMania Access, for heaven's sake. And
I'm looking forward to this because, again, these things, you put them on a mannequin, they look so gorgeous. And again, I mean, we're going to try to have some cards, some tickets, some other things as well. But those robes and those jackets, they really, really jump out at you.
What now, before you go, is my personalized autographed color magazine centerfold of Andre the Giant from 1975 worth?
Oh, so if Andre signed it in 75, you're probably about 7,500, 5,000 to 7,500, 10,000 wouldn't be out. Could happen at some point. There's not a lot of.
And there's the frame. There's the frame too now.
Oh, the frame. And if it says from the Jim Cornette collection, it might add a little bit of value to it.
And he's holding Mike Pappas in his arms, so it would be huge in Greece.
Hey, he's a tough autograph because after he came back from that back surgery, he did not sign many autographs. And having yours from like the 70s, from like 75, would be a quote vintage Andre autograph. So.
Well, and the centerfold is from 75, a Wrestling World magazine, and the autograph I got in April of 1976, just to be specific.
Wow.
But
yeah, that's a great piece. Again, Andre stuff is, everybody wants his autograph, but there's just not enough to go around, and he's so hard to find.
Well, if you come to my house, you'll see him on my wall, but I'm leaving it to someone in my will. I'm not sure
tomorrow.
who yet. I say, hey, wait, was that you or Brian? I'm not sure who's.
We can cut it in half. How's that? He can get the Andre and I get the Giant part, or we can, trade back.
Well, he can get the upper half with Pappas, Andre, and the autograph, and you can get his dick and legs. All right. Anyway. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. But everybody, Heritage Auctions, HA.com. Stay tuned. You ain't heard nothing yet. I'm not finished with these weasels. Well, there you have it. That was our conversation with Tony Giese at Heritage Auctions. We'll keep everybody up to date on what's going on. But Brian, I'm wondering, do they take bets over with our friends DraftKings on how much that Macho Man stuff is going to go for? Or do you think, well, they might get into one of those heated betting wars or rivalries, and it could go straight to the moon. I don't know if DraftKings would cover something that variable or not. Maybe we got to stick with something nice and easy, like whether a football team's going to score a touchdown. We've established that football teams oftentimes, in the course of their duties, score touchdowns, have we not?
Very often that happens. Unless you're a bad team, you will score touchdowns, of course.
So unless you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're probably going to score a touchdown at some point. And folks, you can bet on whether they do or don't, or do or not, or do or don't do, with our friends by downloading the DraftKings Sportsbook app and making your pick. You can bet whether a player's going to score 6. Maybe, just to make it an even better jackpot, bet that a football player is going to score 4 points. Because it might not happen often, but when it does, boom.
No, you're not allowed to make recommendations.
Oh, I can't?
No.
Well, I'm an expert, on the footballs.
So you must take it back.
Well, I take it back then. I'll be the one betting on a player scoring 4 and then see what happens when I'm off on a Pacific island somewhere, drinking Mai Tais and having native girls dancing on my toes.
On your toes?
But folks, on my toes or any other, I'm trying to keep it clean. It's a sponsor. They can dance on anything they want to dance on, except my grave. Folks, if you want to bet some money while you're still alive, I can get you some more money for doing that. See, if you bet a little money, I can get you a lot of money. You want to know how? Because if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly by using the code JCE. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code JCE, and when you bet $5, you get $200 in bonus bets, and you can distribute them across the world of football and all the other sports. And I wonder, did they take bets on the Mighty Ducks? We know the guy that it's already quacked.
The Ducks are a real hockey team, just not the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, I thought it was the Mighty Ducks that went quacking in the Carolina Indies. But anyway, nevertheless, $5. You bet that, you get $200 in bonus bets. That's because you use the code JCE and also the secret knock. Do that, and you get the $200 in bonus bets. If you do, they're going to shoot you through the door.
No one's going to shoot you. I don't even know who we're talking about or who I'm defending here, but
don't give the wrong knock. That's all I'm saying. Because they'll think you're a Fed.
You don't have to worry about the knocks. You have to worry about the crowns. The crown is yours with DraftKings.
The crown is yours as long as you know the right knock. If you knock wrong, then you're going to get crowned. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Brian, I do have some additional information. We haven't heard from our old friend that does this normally yet, have we? Is he still celebrating New Year's?
Gerald? We haven't heard from him.
Has that bad drinking problem. All right, anyway, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance and not a second more. Additional terms and responsible gaming resources you can see dkng.co/audio. And I did say good day.
The crown is yours with DraftKings.